Yikes, Donald Trump got a rude awakening on Sunday morning. It's the 1-year anniversary from the Butler incident. So he made this very culty post. He thought he was going to get a good response from his followers, but they were ripping into him for covering up the Epstein files. Here's a post from the White House. It's a photo of Donald Trump from Butler, and the text says, "I was saved by God to make America great again." Let's take a look at what Donald Trump's own supporters said in response to that post. They go, "And you don't think God would want you to release the Epstein list? God will judge him soon enough for what he did on that island. Saying something like that about yourself is really narcissistic. So please, I bleed more on my period. You are further from God than any person on earth right now. Using religion to control people. What would Jesus do? Jesus would release the Epstein files. Epstein didn't kill himself. Release the list. If God is on your side, you'll have nothing to fear. Hashtag Epstein files." And when Donald Trump made posts like that on his social media platform, Truth Social, guess what the response was? Release the Epstein files. So you get the point over and over again. Now, this follows Donald Trump panicking last night. He did this interview with his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, because I think no one else wanted to do that interview. Of course, she didn't ask a question about Epstein. Instead, she asked questions like this. "You often see things in people that they don't even see in themselves. How are you so good at that?" And then Donald Trump, the pervert, the creep, the despicable, vile, sexual abuser that he is. Do you know how he responds? He goes, "Especially women. I definitely see it in the women." How gross is this ghoul? Here, play this clip.
I think this has been sort of a trait of yours your entire life. If you go back to the Trump Organization, you gave people opportunities that maybe they would never have taken themselves. And I feel like you've often seen things in people that they don't even see in themselves as well.
Especially women.
You did it for me.
Well,
I would say that for me as well. But
a lot of women.
Your cabinet is...
Now, Donald Trump's closest supporters were spending yesterday and today burning their MAGA hats or writing in their MAGA hats, "Trump protects pedos." You can see them all giving the MAGA hats the middle finger, some torching their MAGA hats. And I guess today, as we are 1 year since the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, and Donald Trump is covering up the medical files there. Hey, why don't you release the medical files, Donald, from the Butler Medical Center in Pennsylvania? I'd like to see those so we can see what really happened. Do you remember after the incident where Donald Trump didn't know where his earlobe was? And he was like, "Yeah, you know, it hit me in the lobe," which is not where it purportedly even hit it. That's not where the bandage was. And then he goes, "And the doctor said, even though the bullet hit me in the face, I'm a fast healer. Hit me in the face, but I'm a fast healer." Here, remember when he said this? Here, play this clip.
Yeah, pretty much recovered. Yeah, I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top. A little.
By the way, do you remember that moment where Joe Rogan asked him to see what it looked like and where the bullet hit him? And then Donald Trump's like, "Yeah, it hit me. It hit me. It wasn't like one of those MMA punches." The hell are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
I was,
he was a nice
once
guy.
they shot you, I was like, he's got to come in here. It's all about timing. It's all about the timing. I think our timing's perfect. Do you even have a scar on your ear? You got anything on there?
I do.
What do we say? What do you got
So, right over here.
there? Oh, it's a tiny little
See,
mark.
it zicked right there.
Yeah. But it healed up pretty fucking good.
Well, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's little. It's not like some of the wrestlers, some of the UFC fighters.
No, you didn't
It's
get
a little
cauliflower
bit- No. It was sort of like a top shot.
Mm-hmm.
The point of the bullet was a little of the ass, but you see the thing's taken off a little bit. But it makes me a tougher guy. You know, the fighters, you know.
Another reason why this morning was absolutely disastrous for Donald Trump and his regime, he brought Kevin Hassett, his national economic advisor, on TV. And Kevin Hassett said, "Oh, no, we didn't say 90 deals in 90 days. We said sketches of deals before August 1st. So if you heard 90 deals in 90 days and that deadline, even though we've done no deals, and that deadline would have been the beginning of last week, we actually meant sketches of deals before August 1st. Are these people the most pathetic human beings ever? Ding, ding, ding. The answer is yes. Here, play this clip right here.
On Canada, European Union, and Mexico. Why now? What's going on?
Well, I think that we've got a deadline that's coming up in early August. And the thing about President Trump, if you go back and look at his history, that he became one of the most successful, if not the most successful businessman in the 20th century because he was able to squeeze everything out of every deal that he made. And right now we've got that guy who wrote The Art of the Deal, making deals for the American people. And we've got to see where the dust settles. The bottom line is that he's seen some sketches of deals that have been negotiated with Howard Lutnick and the rest of the trade team. And the president thinks the deals need to be better. And to basically put a line in the sand, he sent these letters out to folks, and we'll see how it works out.
Now it's always just one cover-up after a next, and then covering up the cover-ups with the Trump regime. And then when it comes to right-wing media, they don't even report on the death and devastation that the Trump regime causes. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and then just do everything your cult leader Trump says, according to MAGA, although the Epstein cover-up is, I think, shattering the some of that cult aura that existed. But here's a story that needs to get more attention as well, that U.S. aid cuts halt HIV vaccine research in South Africa and its massive global impact. I mean, literally the hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of people who have died because USAID has cut off its medical research and funding and gave no notice. I'm just thinking about the kids, the women, the men who have died because of Trump and Elon Musk, what they are doing. But you can see right here, the right-wing media barely covers it at all. Almost no coverage from the right-wing media about the mass killings by the Trump regime. By the way, that's why if you want to know the research tool that I use, it's called Ground News. So people go, how do you do some of these videos sometimes? One of the research tools I use, it's Ground News. It's where I kind of research to determine if certain stories are being covered by the left, the so-called left, the center, the so-called right. So go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code. We're giving our viewers 40% off of Ground News top tier Vantage plan, the research tools that I use at MeidasTouch. It'll give you unlimited access to everything that I use. Ground News is subscriber funded. They don't rely on ads that could also introduce bias. Subscribing supports our channel and their independent team working to keep the media transparent. So use the research tools that I do. Ground.news/MTN. Scan the QR code. We're going to give our viewers 40% off that Ground News top tier Vantage plan. All right, back to Kevin Hassett, Donald Trump's top economic advisor. This guy's the guy who's been wrong about everything in his life. He's the guy who told everybody, buy, buy, buy during the dot-com boom right the day before the crash, and then everybody lost their money. He's the guy who loses people's money, and in a loser regime, you get losers like Kevin Hassett. He was asked, by the way, does the president have the authority to fire the Fed chair, Jerome Powell? And Hassett says, we're looking into it because they're trying to fire the chairman of the Federal Reserve right now. And then they go, if there's cause, we can. So they're trying to find a justification now to fire Jerome Powell. And I expect that to happen actually in the next 60 days, probably less. Here, play this clip.
Before you go, I want to ask you about Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. The administration's been highly critical of the way the Fed has handled renovations to its building, to its headquarters here in Washington. $2.5 billion renovation sounds like a lot to me, I have to admit. Yeah. But let me ask you, could this be used as a predicate to fire the Fed chair?
I think that whether the president decides to push down that road or not is going to depend a lot on the answers that we get to the questions that Russ Vought sent to the Fed. The bottom line is that this is the most expensive project in D.C. history, $2.5 billion with a $700 billion cost overrun. To put that in perspective, the cost overrun for this Federal Reserve project is about the same size as the second biggest building overhaul in American history, which was the FBI building. And so the Fed has a lot to answer for. And the bottom line is that there's a key statutory problem. In 1913, when we founded the Fed, the U.S. was under a gold standard. So it was never envisioned by the people that voted for the construction of the Fed that we currently see, that the Fed could print money and toss it around willy-nilly because they had to have the gold to do what they're doing. And they're unbounded right now.
Right, literally print the money to do the renovation. Very quickly, yes or no answer. Does the president, in your view, have the authority to fire the Fed chair?
That's a thing that's being looked into, but certainly if there's cause, he does.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin Hassett. Really appreciate it. Up next, did President...
Now, you had Kristi Noem, dog-killing cosplayer, Homeland Security Secretary, who had that disastrous response to the Texas flash floods. She didn't respond for 72 hours about urban search and rescue teams. The Trump regime fired the key National Weather Service people who were working in Texas. The coordination with the local officials, horrible. No one has seen the head of FEMA. Where's the head of FEMA right now? Kristi Noem's not the head of FEMA. Where is the head of FEMA right now? That's a pretty basic question. He's given no interviews, no press conferences, no statements, no posts, no nothing. That's one of the ways you know it's a pretty bad response when the head of FEMA is missing. And here Kristi Noem is asked, well, how do you think this... is this a template for future responses? Like, did you like the way you responded in Texas? And she goes, yep, this is how FEMA should be. We did it right. This is how we're going to handle all future emergencies. So they're saying, not only is it a great job, what they did in Texas, they want to bring to all of the other states. You don't believe me? Here's what she said. Let's play it.
These emergencies need to be conducted exactly how President Trump handled this one. It was that the local responders are the ones who execute the response. The state comes in and manages it, and then the federal government comes in and supports it. And as soon as Texas asked for anything, we were there.
Just very quickly, I mean, disasters often cost millions, if not billions of dollars. You've acknowledged there is this policy you implemented to sign off on contracts that exceed $100,000. Why add extra red tape when there is a crisis of this magnitude?
It's not extra red tape. It's making sure everything is getting to my level and that it's immediately responded to.
Now, she's asked about the New York Times report about all of the victims who tried to call the call center, but the call centers were shut down because Kristi Noem didn't pay the bills and got rid of the call centers. And then she's just like, that's fake news. That's fake news. And it's not. The call centers are closed. They're literally shut down. You could literally analyze if people got through. Speak to the people in the area. Here, play this clip.
Big picture in just a moment, but the New York Times is reporting that thousands of calls from flood victims to FEMA call centers went unanswered in the middle of this ongoing disaster because you didn't renew contracts to keep call center staff in place until nearly 1 week after the floods. Why did it take so long to extend those contracts?
It's just false. Those contracts were in place. Nobody,
it didn't take 5 days.
No employees were off of work. Every one of them was answering calls. So false reporting, fake news, and it's discouraging.
You had MAGA Mike on this morning, and MAGA Mike was saying that that disastrous budget bill, he goes, that was just step one. He goes, they're going to roll out multiple more versions of that are going to take away more Medicare, more Medicaid, more essential services from people. Here he is on Fox saying that. Let's play it.
I want to waste this historic opportunity with President Trump coming back to the White House and us having the responsibility of fixing every metric of public policy that Biden and Harris and the Democrats destroyed over the previous 4 years. So the big, beautiful bill was the first big step in that, but we have multiple steps ahead of us. We have long planned for at least 2, possibly 3 reconciliation bills, one in the fall and one next spring, that would continue to allow us to do this on a partisan basis where we only need Republican votes and we don't have to drag Democrats along. There are no appetite to fix any of the mess. We have to do it ourselves. So, yes.
Now, folks, I also want to highlight some good news, some hope as well. And I see hope in the AFL-CIO bus tour, which kicked off in Washington, D.C. They went to Virginia. They're off to North Carolina. Liz Shuler, the president of AFL-CIO, says, while corporations profit off the backs of working people and politicians cut essential services, America's unions are hitting the road on our It's a Better in a Union Fighting for Freedom, Fairness, and Security bus tour to build worker power nationwide. So the first stop was Newport News, Virginia. The It's a Better in a Union Fighting for Freedom, Fairness, and Security bus tour was on the move. Let me highlight some of the things that went down there as well. You had Local 8888 and District 8 proudly co-hosting It's a Better on a Union bus tour, standing up for workers' rights on and off the job. Speakers called out attacks on unions, cuts to veteran services, and threats to workers' safety. To see some of the photos here, Kenny at Steelworkers Local 8888 says, I'm a third-generation shipbuilder. Trump wants to cut millions of dollars from OSHA's budget and eliminate more than 200 of the agency's staff. Cuts to OSHA would put tens of millions of workers in every sector of the economy at risk. Kenny also says, I served for 22 years in the Army Reserve. Trump wants to cut tens of thousands of VA workers, many of whom are veterans themselves. Proposed cuts to the VA are a betrayal to patriotic Americans. Gwen Mills, who leads Unite Here, she says the AFL-CIO's bus stop was at Unite Here 23 action to demand that the new House of Reps subcontractors hire every worker with full pay and benefits and recognize the union. The whole labor movement is behind you. And Gwen also went on to say, we're proud to join Amon, a Unite Here hotel worker, and other union presidents to kick off the AFL-CIO's national bus tour. Amon and I talked about overcoming our fears to fight back now. We do it whenever we organize our workplaces, and we need to do it all around the country. So look out for that bus tour. Their next stop is North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're in Charlotte, look for that AFL-CIO bus tour. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit subscribe and let's get to 6 million subscribers.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.